Okay, we'll just wait for a minute for some people to join.
The only thing we miss about these meetings is that we can't have anything to eat, because even yesterday we had that. Just didn't have.
Okay, so we are on the 12th episode of the Everlast. This is an initiative which we had started on the first weekend of June. So this is for all the elders who are at home, who are not able to visit an event, who are not able to go to programs, who are not able to meet their friends, but they want to have a discussion about a new topic. They want to have a discussion about they want to have this is for people where they want to for people who want to say something, have a debate, all that. So in this initiative, we've had various kind of topics. We've had topics on music, on dance, on food and cooking. We've had a topic on financial planning. We've had a topic on sports as well last week. But this day being the 15th of August, we could not have asked for we could not have asked for a better guest, and we have to thank Sabita Ma for joining us. So thanks a lot and welcome.
Yeah, nice meeting you on Independence Day, Atul. Yeah.
Thank you. So so Sabita Ma, she does not need any kind of an introduction. She's been like an inspiration for since since like the 70s. She was a person who brought handlooms to Chennai. She's a writer. She's a speaker. She's a great speaker. And to talk about to say about her new venture, which is celebrating the 7th birthday. So this is a venture called the Udavi. So she's been helping a lot of people through this, and we want to hear a lot more about this from Sabita Ma. So yes, so Sabita Ma, so how are you doing in this lockdown time?
Yeah, I'm doing fine. I couldn't have done better. But let me start off by saying that today is Independence Day and everyone is wishing everybody happy Independence Day. I want to tell you that I was a child when India got her independence. My father was a doctor, and he had a British matron and some, English nurses and so on. I was just a child, and I knew there was a lot of turmoil going on in India, and for us it was a haze. Then my mother used to sit and explain what is happening and how the British are leaving India. Then came the Quit India Act, and all these Britishers were asked to leave. And I remember just sobbing when the British matron left. So these are sort of memories. But I remember feeling so proud, even though I was just a child. I was so proud of India becoming independent. And till today, whenever I hear the national anthem, tears fill my eyes. And
absolutely,
my message to the younger people: see, we have lived through a lot of things, and we value independence. But people like you, your next generation, and the Gen Next, you have to think and see how you can take India forward. What are the things we can do? Despite adversity, despite all the things which are going against us. So that is my opening message to all, and you wanted to know how I'm faring in the COVID. Well,
Yes,
I had
absolutely.
actually planned a lot of things. I thought I'm going to do a lot of writing, maybe write another novel, and especially, on COVID and, the effect it has had. I took out my embroidery, I took out my crochet and painting and things like that. But
Wow, fantastic.
nothing like that happened because for one thing, we had to get rid of our part-time house help. So there I went back to cooking full time. Cooking is therapeutic, but I need a little help in the kitchen.
I am
And
waiting to have your food as well sometime
yes,
soon.
you'll be among the first to be invited once this thing is. So I have turned to helping again our elders through the telephone. But apart from that, like trying to reach out to people below the poverty line and who are struggling, and the weavers and so on. Yeah, I'll wait to tell you about it after you.
Okay, great. So so this day being the 15th of August, so we want to hear about a story which we all don't know about, like a story which happened like in the 30s or 40s, which you've heard from your mother or, like or from your grandmother. And how is that, so like very, how would you compare that to like the 60s or 70s?
Okay, the 30s and all I wouldn't know. My mother had to tell me because it was in the 40s that I was born. But I still remember, the Second World War and the ravages and so on. And we were told every time they heard, the siren was put on. We lived in Bangalore. We were brought up in Bangalore. So when the siren went off, my mother and father used to say, "Run under the beds." Run inside and hide under the
wow.
you don't know when the bombs will be dropped, and the whole city became dark. So my sister and I would go under the bed, and we always had dogs. We would pull the dog also with us, and we used to giggle and laugh and think it's great fun. And then when we went to the movies, as a family we were all great movie goers. So when we went there, we used to see the soldiers sitting in front of us, rows and rows of soldiers.
Wow.
And I used to be a little frightened because they were all in uniform, and we thought soldiers means dushum dushum and killing and all that. But they used to enjoy themselves, and they had this thing in the cinema where the words of a song would appear on screen, and the soldiers would sing lustily to all that. Yeah,
Wow.
those are my memories. And my mother later, as we grew up, she said, "See, we are so lucky to have passed this period that it's no longer there. But what we didn't know is what is happening today. And I don't know which is worse." Yeah, because it has affected the whole world. But
Absolutely.
I'm telling everyone, this too will pass. It has to pass.
Absolutely.
Because
Absolutely.
even bad things don't last forever. As long as we observe social distancing and then we observe hygiene and things like that, yeah, I mean, it will pass. We have to learn to cope with it and learn to do the best we can with it.
Absolutely. Now to bring you back to like your days, like we want to hear about your books, in fact. So so mostly recently you've also launched a book called The Looms of Arivu. So oh yes, there it is. Actually, I have another picture which I want to share. Oh, sorry, 1 second. Okay, I'm not able to get that, but sure. So like we want to hear from you about the book.
Okay, this Looms of Arivu again was born out of my passion for handlooms and textiles. And I've worked with textiles for about over 40 years and worked with weavers across India. And I haven't gone through any course. I wish I had, like NID or NIFT, but I learned on the job, in the sense staying with the weavers, spending time with them, sitting on the floor with them cross-legged. eating with them, and developing a kind of bond by which,
Okay.
they learn to trust you. And then learning about the textiles and the diversity of textiles in every state. I mean, it's just stunning. I mean, India is like that. So when I had my boutique, I
Hmm.
opened the boutique in Chennai. What happened was, suddenly there was a big lull in weaving. The
Hmm.
weavers went into a very bad state, because
Okay.
what happened was that the saris, free sari and dhoti scheme was there, which
Hmm.
gave the weavers continuous work by the government.
Okay.
And,
Okay.
and what happened is the godowns were overflowing with stock, unsold stock. And one fine day they just stopped because they couldn't weave anymore. So these people were in great trouble. And
Hmm.
so they went through so much of trauma and angst. And, they used to come and tell me, Amma, we are finding it very difficult, but I didn't know what to do. And I always think that if you set up some kind of body which will fight for their rights and make petitions to the government, it would help.
Hmm.
So I have only my pen, or rather computer keys. So I started writing a play on the travails of the weaver, and that's how Song of the Loom came out. And
Oh, wow.
and it was staged by Madras Players.
Madras Players.
Yeah, and for 3 days, and it ran to full houses, though we had very heavy rain at that time. So it was successful because I knew people liked it, because at the end of it, they were all crying because there was suicide there and
Hmm.
death of one of the characters. So they said you should take it across India. So we got the sponsors.
Hmm.
But then the economy took a nosedive and we couldn't sort of extend it further. So it's been just in the cans, as you say. So what I did was, I was just thinking, a friend of mine actually suggested,
Mhm.
the play is done and maybe forgotten and put in the archives. Why don't you write a
Write a
novel
book.
based on the
So,
play? And that's exactly what I did. And that's how it came. It's
so
about,
that's how you had started writing initially, or
I was writing from the age 7.
wow,
Yes. I used to write
that's
for,
phenomenal.
I used to write for the radio, and I still remember the prizes I used to get. They used to send it. And writing is a sort of passion with me. I mean, I have to write. I'm a compulsive writer. I have to write every day. So anyway, it was my husband who kept saying that you're into cookbooks. You've written
Correct.
so many cookbooks, all are bestsellers and all that. Why don't you're so fond of literature? Why don't you write a novel? So this was the first novel. The other one I wrote for the family, which is not really for the public. But my deepest regret, that is, he didn't live to see it published. He would have been very happy. So this
I'm
is a
sure he's really happy to.
somewhere out there, he's smiling
I'm
and
sure
saying,
he
"Good
is.
show," because
Yes,
he was one who
absolutely,
inspired me always to do these things.
absolutely, absolutely. So we want to like, so we also want to know like about your books on cooking. So how did you start that?
See, I've always been fond of cooking, but my father wouldn't allow us into the kitchen. He said that once you get married, you'll be cooking. So you don't have to do it. Your mother is there to do it. So, and I was studying, and when I got married, also, I was only 18 when I got married. And I was a little afraid because my husband was very particular about food. And one funny incident happened. I was there, and a friend of his came, and he said, "Can I get a cup of tea? Can your wife get me a cup of tea?" So my husband looked at me and said, "Can you bring tea?" So I was terrified. I was trembling because I didn't know how to make tea, because neither my husband and I used to have it. So, I knew how to mix coffee, but not tea. So I put a little tea and I said, "Let me make it really good." I boiled and boiled and boiled it and added milk and sugar. Brought the tea, my hands were shivering, and this man drank it and he said, "God save you, Radhakrishna. I don't know how you are going to live the rest of your life with a woman who can't cook." So I took that on as a challenge. I said, everybody, starts somewhere in life.
So from there to writing of like a book on cooking, you've come a long way. This is absolutely inspirational.
I've had a good journey, I must say. That I
Oh,
had
it was fabulous. Yes.
yeah. So how I started writing cookbooks was that I started writing to my mother. Those days there was no, things like WhatsApp and things.
Correct.
We were in Bhopal. It took
Mhm.
about 1 week for the letter to reach her. And even if she sat and wrote down the recipe immediately, it will take another 1 week to
1 week.
come to us. So 15 days. So like that, I started making things, but I was very slow and very dependent. Then confidence built up when people, my husband would just invite people. He was always like that. And he wouldn't know what his wife went through. But then I managed to survive. Then I said, all these old recipes, they need to be documented because they are all going out. We've learned from our mothers and grandmothers. So, there's no way of keeping those recipes alive. So I wrote Aharam, which was my first book. I didn't know how a cookbook should be written, but it was only by instinct. And all my mother's recipes were there. Each recipe is about 75 to 100 years old. Each recipe.
Wow.
Generations. And I tried every recipe exactly because in the old days people didn't measure. My mother would just put a little of this and a little of that. So I used to hold her hand and say, "How little is little?"
How much is this?
Yes. And show it to her, and she tested it, and then it would go into the book. So my husband's side of the family also excellent cooks. They're very good. I mean, the whole lot of aunts. So I took some recipes from them, and that's how Aharam was born. And I was so surprised when it won the Gourmand Award, International Award for Best Cookbook of the Year. And it's still going strong even now.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to like move on, you've also been a huge fan of actor Shivaji Ganesan, and you have a book on him as well. So like I haven't so seen the book yet, but I want to know so something about it.
Okay, see, I've always been a fan of Shivaji from the time I was a child. I think I've seen all his movies, and I used to recite dialogues also because I liked his acting. Though many people felt he overacted, I used to like it. So one day, a friend of mine said, "If you're such a fan of his, come, I'll take you and introduce you." So our whole family went there, and they served us lunch. So it was a very elaborate lunch, and he would never take no for an answer. So he started inviting us on Sundays and things like that. And I was terrified to talk a word to him because my Tamil is vicious. And you know what Shivaji's Tamil is like.
Absolutely.
Very tremblingly, I would, where I would tremble to even talk, and then I would talk in English. He'll say, "Yemma," and Tamil la pesa maate. So then it went on, and then we also visited his house in Tanjavur, and we stayed there overnight because I was doing a documentary for television on Tanjavur paintings or the temple and something like that. So I had to go and do research. So again, I took some crazy friends with me who were great fans of Shivaji. We went there and we enjoyed it. And Kamlama was an angel, she looked after us so well. So what happened is I wrote about this in the Hindu. I wrote it from my heart because what I enjoyed and so on. So after he passed away, Ram Kumar called me, his son, eldest son.
Yeah.
I want to come and see you. So I was wondering why. He came and then he said, "See, my father's passed away. We are bringing out a book. And already somebody has written the book in Tamil. But we want you to do the English version." I nearly fell off the chair because for me, it was such an honor. And on top of that, he said, "I'll pay you for this. You don't have to do it free." It was a thick book. And it was difficult because it was not just a translation, but it had to be written in the English that I knew Shivaji would talk. It could not be high flown. And because I met him, I knew just how to do it. And that occupies pride of position in my home library. And it's called The Autobiography of an Actor. It has a lot of photos. And it was published by the Moon Publishing House. Yeah. So that's how it came.
Yeah. Wow, that's a great to listen. So who is now your most so like an actor who you like, who like inspires you? After Shivaji.
You're talking about Tamil? Are you talking about Hindi?
I'm talking about English or Tamil or Hindi. But so like I'm asking for one person.
Well, the present generation, I think Surya is very good. I like Surya very much. Yes.
Okay.
And, Hindi actors, there are of course, my favorite is Amitabh Bachchan, of course.
Of course.
And even at this age, it's amazing the kind of things that he does. And my mother, who was never struck, she said, I'm only the fan of Amitabh Bachchan. So she said, just to give him a hug for, his wonderful acting. So I promised her that. I said, I will somehow go there and we'll achieve that. But that didn't happen. When he came to Chennai, she had already passed on. But Amitabh Bachchan, yes. And,
so will you write a book about him as well?
Well, if I'm given the chance, why not? One of the English actors which I adored was Clark Gable, especially I don't know whether you've seen Gone with the Wind.
I haven't.
I've seen it 25 times. I used to write all the dialogues, and he was just great. But then he too has passed on. Yeah.
Okay. So from to like move on to the next one, we want to like ask you about your new venture, and which is also so celebrating the 7th anniversary. So I'm talking about Udavi here. So like we want to know how you started, what you had in mind, like when this came to your mind, and how you went about it, and what you are doing right now with Udavi.
All my life, we have grown up with old people. Like I told you, my father was a doctor. So towards the end of his life, he was a gynecologist, he was a GP and things like that. And I used to go on house visits with him carrying his bag. And those days, doctors used to go to the houses and he would never give medicine. He'll sit there and hold the hand, feel the pulse, feel the heart with the stethoscope, and they'll say, "Doctor, I'm all right." That was the kind of thing. And we always had old people in the house. See, those days, there were a lot of Anglo-Indians and Britishers who left for their homes and they left their parents behind. So my father took very good care of them. And he instructed us that we were to look after them. As children, we had to read to them, make them feel they were part of our family. And during Christmas, we used to put up a Christmas tree, sing Christmas carols, and make them feel at home. And I had two tatas at home, whom we looked after. My mother looked after both of them. Unfortunately, I've never seen my grandmothers at all. But I know what it is for older people. I know even taking a step, climbing up steps, it's so difficult. And those days, we didn't have the kind of facilities we have now. We used to be there and help them. Tata wants to go to his room, run, go and hold him, help him to get into bed, help him to, that was the thing. So actually, after my daughter passed away, I wanted to do something in her memory. She was a theater person, and then she used to win debates. She was cultural secretary in Women's Christian College and all that. And her death, of course, affected us very deeply. Like we have still
I'm sorry.
terms with it. So my husband and I wanted to do something in her memory. So I was wondering whether I should give a shield to the college or whether I should do something for theater and all that. So one day it just struck, because she was very good with older people. I said, why not start something in her name and towards older people? Then there again, I was alone. My husband said, what kind of thing are you taking up? How will you manage? He was very concerned. So I visited a shop called Old is Gold and, found out that they had opened the shop, Jayashree and Sanjay, because their parents were not keeping well. So they opened the shop to get the accessories, to provide the right accessories for them.
That's right.
So I put this idea. I met Sanjay first, and then he said immediately yes. So we were actually the founder members, and then I started handpicking people who work for Udavi, and I started writing a concept note, and then to get volunteers, we had to train them first.
Absolutely.
Like if you volunteered, I wouldn't let you loose with our elders. Sorry. So we had this training period, and then they were inducted. They were given badges. Then we used to meet the family also, because the family had to approve of us, because it's dangerous to let anyone in.
Absolutely.
So otherwise they'd say, what the hell are you doing here with my parents? And we have certain strictures, we have certain rules that we follow. We shouldn't get into family politics, nor the mother-in-law, daughter-in-law tangle.
Absolutely.
Nor the legal thing about property. But what we did is we referred them to certain services which are available. Like if it's a legal problem, we would connect them to Dignity Foundation. Like they could come to us for anything. So what happened is, I first thought it was a very ordinary thing, providing companionship and visiting them. But slowly, the reports we got and the study we did with them, we found that we were doing yeoman service, because they are so lonely, and loneliness can eat up most of your life. You can turn clinical, and that's when it requires medical intervention. So we got a band of people. Right now, I have 13 of us are there as core group members. We used to meet every month. Usually it was my home, because we didn't have money for an office, because everything is free of cost. We don't
free of cost, correct.
But we took them out sometimes, a drive to the beach. Then we would take them to the temple, or some people even wanted to go to the kacheri. And some of our volunteers were good enough, our core group members, they used to take them. So what has happened is, every year we evolved. Every year we found that we could do more and more for them. And we don't count numbers. We want to give quality work to people whom we have on our list, because they have to register with us. Only then we can do. And
of course,
going to the hospital is very daunting for anybody. And some of them alone, they didn't have anybody. So one or two of our members who were very good, she used to offer to take them to the hospital. And I'm not just dropping names, but people appreciated us. One was Mr. Muttaya, who passed away. One of our members, Radhika, used to take him also to the hospital. And we had Indira Parthasadi, the writer, Sahitya Award winner, and now he's with his daughter, so he doesn't need us anymore. And what was good was, people volunteered to give us donations, which we would politely refuse. We'd say, what do we do with donations? Instead of that, sponsor us for a cultural meeting. And the person who's come forward for that is Savira Hotels, Nina Reddy. Every year she hosts a meeting for us, and she always makes it special. Once or twice we had it at Savira, once we had it at the beach, a beach house, which was just beautiful. And so this year, since it's going to be the first time we are having the meeting like this,
on Zoom,
what she says is, she says, I'm going to provide food for all the letters and all of you, whoever wants. So give me addresses, and as the meeting is going on, food will be sent to everyone.
Oh, that is wonderful.
That's the type of person she is, and we really thank her from the bottom of our hearts, and I hope she's watching this program. It's she has encouraged us, and she always says, if there's anything you need, you come to us. Like that, we've been blessed with a lot of people. And
that is wonderful of her to do that.
So 7th anniversary, that's what we are celebrating. And please do come, we'll send you an invite.
Absolutely, yes. Absolutely, yes. Yeah, so this is great. So would you have a unique story to share with us? So like somebody's life, so like which has changed a lot.
Yes.
After Rudavi.
Yes. I don't like to mention names here.
That's fine.
About 3 people. One lady, after she lost her husband, was in depression. I mean, she just changed in character. 2 of them, in fact. Like they wouldn't go out, they wouldn't socialize. They were just different. They were very quiet. And some of us, some of the members used to go there regularly, talk to them, talk them out of it, make them laugh, and things like that. And today they are changed people. They are so happy, and they come for our cultural meetings. And then there was another couple, and the husband was old and rather conservative, but the wife liked going out. But then you know, she didn't want to go. Indian wives, most of us are like that. So we personally invited them to one of our cultural meetings, and we always have fun during the cultural meetings. There's singing, there's games, and we give prizes at the end of it. Then we get a doctor or some specialist to talk to them, give something useful to them. So what happened was, it was very funny. We were doing yoga. We asked somebody to come and show this yoga thing. And then you had to put up your hand like this and that. And we found this lady doing it very vigorously. So the man was looking at her, and slowly his hands came up. At the end of the meeting, she came and said, I've never attended anything like that, but it is so wonderful. Please keep having such cultural meets again. So that's the thing.
Oh, wow. Wow. This is okay. So, yeah. So like, it's really nice for us to hear all these stories and to see, of course. Yeah. So, so like one thing which we wanted to like ask you, which we can ask only you, which is that, you have grown through the times. You are, so you are a writer, you are an avid person with the books. You read a lot, and you are very, so savvy with the tech. So how do you like inspire people to be like you? What do you tell them? Like when you meet somebody who is not doing what you are doing.
Each of us have got hidden talents. We can't be like each other. Each of us have God-given skills and things, which I have been lucky to find out, explore, thanks to having a very, very wonderful husband who would always push me to do things and said, don't just vegetate at home, you use your talent and things like that. And a mother who kept the home fires burning when I had to leave station. My husband and I both used to travel for the textile thing. And my children were not neglected, because I would never neglect my children. So what I'm saying is, to bring out that talent, you have to look within yourself. I don't think you can say, I'm not good at anything. It's not true. But you have to search within you. Now, for instance, at 90 years, my mother started painting and sketching. I still have some of her sketches. She drew and she paints, and it was so wonderful. She got inspired because we used to sit together and all of us used to paint. So we gave her some crayons and said, Mommy, why don't you also do it? And she did. Another thing I want to say is, age is no bar. However old you are, you don't have to, dress up in a ridiculous fashion or try to look young, which never works. It fails miserably. But if you dress smartly, it also brings joy to your children. The children, grandchildren, they are proud of you. You can't just give up everything and say, I'm too old now. That's the worst thing you can do to yourself. And there's no harm in enjoying yourself. See, the Indian concept is feeling guilty about enjoying life after a certain age, or enjoying life after you've lost a beloved spouse or you've gone through adversity. But I feel that's the way you keep them alive. Somewhere out there, they are watching you. And this is the advice I give all of them. Age is no bar. And Kannan Pugarendi is another person who hosts us. We've had meetings in his clinics, and he gives us a lot of advice as to, you should get him on a show. He's just so
absolutely, yes, absolutely.
And he gives us very useful tips and things. Now, among his patients, there is a 80-year-old who runs a marathon. Then there's someone who does a sport thing. They all got medals. And I said, Doctor, how can you let them do that? I mean, isn't it bad for them? So he said, see, it's in the mind. If they have the confidence they can do it, the body will also cooperate. So that's the spirit, So don't give up on life. As long as you live well. Because we don't want to live a long life and then, get crippled with anxiety and then become hypochondriacs and all the time complaining. We all have aches and pains because as we grow older, that's part of life. Age-related illnesses will always come up, but don't give up. Carry on. In our own group, in our committee, we have such active people, all of them. I'm so proud. Many of them are senior citizens. But if you meet them, you'll meet them on that day. You'll be surprised. You'll just say, wow. So it's not just me, it's everyone.
So one thing which you have not done is to run a marathon. So I'm hoping to see you soon on the road.
That is something which God didn't give me because I don't have very strong legs. Even when I cook, I have to sit down now and then. And it's not because of age, but it's because of weakness in the muscles, So I always used to envy people who, would run around and walk fast. I used to walk about 3 kilometers every day till a few years ago. But now, of course, I don't. And what I like to do is to get into a pool and do some, not just swimming. I'm not a good swimmer like the rest of my family, but do, water exercises and things like that. I just love being in a pool. Now, even that is taken away.
But I hope it will come back soon as well.
I know. But it is little to venture into water right now. So I'm attempting it. Yeah.
Of course. So, like on this topic, we would like to hear some words which you have for elders and for the youngsters who take care of their elders as well.
See, I've always, sometimes these Rotary clubs and other clubs will ask me to address, and they'll bring in a lot of old people. But I want a platform where I can talk to the youngsters. Because,
here we are.
Yeah, here you are. That's just what you do. Because they don't know what it is to be old. They get impatient. They get irritated. Then older people will repeat themselves. They will say something. Then maybe after the next day they'll repeat it. They'll say, "Innama ide solittu irukkinga." So it's cruel to say that because that is part of aging. We do it all that. We do it. We forget. Supposing I tell you something, and then after some time I tell you again, I don't remember that I've already told you this. You see, so it's that kind of thing. Then you have to be very patient. See, what I used to do in 10 minutes, I take now half an hour to do. And people, they shouldn't hurry you. They shouldn't say, why are you so slow? Why don't you get ready fast? Because it's just not possible. And, the insecurity of old age, everyone doesn't feel secure. You get insecure as you grow older. There is a fear happening. It's not just the fear of death, but it's the fear of how you will die. You keep looking and hearing stories, and that is a real fear. But if you have your family around you, they can dispel that fear. People are lucky. I'm living alone, but I have my family. My Udavi family is something, I don't know. I can't even say what they are to me. They're so precious. They were with me in times when I, wanted help, though I've not asked. I get scolded. Why didn't you ask us with help? And if I say, I feel like seeing a friendly face. Even today, they'll drive past our house, stand there. I'll be standing on the balcony. They'll wave to me. And that means so much. I mean, how many people would?
Absolutely.
So you don't have to be a daughter or son to do that, because now children are all gone elsewhere. They are no longer with you. But other people should adopt. Other people should, take on these roles. That's what my advice to young people is. Because you will also be old one day. And you won't even have the comfort we have. Because your children are going to be so independent. You just are on your own, except for the lucky few. So think about it. And some part of the day, please devote to people at home. If you're living in an apartment building, there will be at least 1 or 2 older people living there.
Absolutely.
Ask them what they want. Ask them whether they want supplies delivered. Ask them whether they need any services. That goes a long way. And if each of us does that, takes on 1 or 2 people, I think the old people will be very happy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, so Sabitama, this is so like one thing which we keep saying we want people to be tech savvy. We want people to read. We want people to be active. Uh, uh, we, so like we keep saying that you need to actively, so like be in a debate, be in shows. We want you to talk about things. We want you to learn. So this is to all the like elders. Like only like if you are active, you'll be able to help yourself and not be like a burden to like other people as well. So like it is in, like we want to use this as a platform to tell people, please take, like a little bit of inspiration from you to, be active and to learn new things. Maybe say like an embroidery or painting, or at least to take up to the habit of reading as well. So,
Always,
like I always, like I hope that, we have at least say like a dozen people who take this inspiration from you, and it'll pass on from there.
I hope so. No, learning new skills also sharpens the mind. You have to learn.
Absolutely.
And one wing of Udavi also does that. We teach people to use the smartphone, because children just dump it on you and then they.
Correct.
First, they say, I had a nice simple phone which I was using, and now these people have given me this and I don't know how to use it.
I've done that to my grandfather. I know how it feels for him.
So what it says is, you don't have the time to teach. We are there to teach. So we have done that for people. There was a lady who was panicking. She couldn't type. She couldn't do anything. So we taught her, and taught her to use WhatsApp and anything that she wants. And also the computer. It's people get fascinated, but they're scared. And this was even my husband. He was an engineer, brilliant engineer, but he would not come near a computer. I had to do all that sort of work. So, but you can learn. You can start off by basic classes and things. And we're willing to go to people's homes to teach them something basic. And what they love is, on Skype to see their grandchildren who are living abroad.
Absolutely.
To be able to talk to them. And it goes along with, it's really good for them.
Yeah, correct. But now the world has changed, where all the payments are all on the computer or on the phone. So we want people to start using the phone, so like extensively for payments and for small things. We don't want them to go to the bank. We want them to use it on the phone. So like so like this is what I keep saying. To my tata as well. He likes to walk to the bank, but like like I told him, like even so like yesterday also, use your phone. There is a feature called net banking. So you have to do that for you to do. Like if you want to say he wants to do like a transfer of money, or he wants to do like whatever, I ask him to use the phone to be able to do all that. But he likes to go to the bank. It's like he uses that as like like an excuse to go out and go for a walk. But
because my husband, as long as he was alive, he would not do any online banking at all, however much I told him. Every day he would go to the bank. So people would always say, I think you're putting in a lot of money, because we see him every day. He would talk to the clerk, to the peon, to the manager, and he was so loved by everyone in the bank. And he said, don't deprive me of small pleasures. So I started online, only after he passed away. And I think, Atul, the simplest thing is, if you have, do it by phone, iMobile, where you get the bank to put in that. And another thing is the Google Pay, where it's very easy to do it. Even people who hesitate, can get it done. And please keep an eye on time. If I'm talking too much, you can always say.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. This is absolutely fine. So, so like one thing which, which I wanted to ask you, so Sabita Ma, was, so what do you think you would have done differently in hindsight, say for either, like a handlooms or like Udavi? So like, Do you think that you could have done it a little differently to make it better or to make it larger as a business for you? I know you are not a business person, but so like, what is your feeling in hindsight?
See, in hindsight, I feel I had this passion, but I didn't convert it into active, something very active in those days because I had my children to bring up. I had a home, my husband, my mother was there. So these were some of the restrictions. But if I had joined a group which are very militant, which would go and present petitions to the government, we could have done it. We might be a minority, but then we could have done that. And I always used to feel, I wish I lived in pre-independence time so that I could have walked with Gandhiji during the Salt March. I could have, protested and joined Sarojini Naidu and things like that because I'm very patriotic. And even though my son says, "What are you doing here in India? You come to Dubai, I'll give you all the luxuries. You do what you write what you want, you do your cultural activities. This is my home, this is my country. And I want to feel the pain of the country. I want to make it a better place in whatever tiny way I can. It might be just scratching the surface, but I belong here. I belong to Indian. I'm an Indian and I'm proud to be an Indian, So I will never leave the shores to go and settle down somewhere else. That's not.
Okay, that's really nice to hear. Okay, so like any new like update or so like from your books or from your shows, like which you want to share to people?
See, I've just finished a book on Kerala
Okay. Okay.
And just at the time when we were wrapping it out and we were preparing for a launch, it was supposed to be in Savera, COVID. So it's now in deep freeze. So I hope it out and come out soon. That is my latest venture. And another thing I want to do is, sometimes this compulsion to write. I've been freelancing for Hindu for, I think, 30 years. And though I'm not their employee or anything like that, I owe that loyalty. And they also expect me to contribute to them. I don't write for any other papers. So now it is not possible so much because, Hindu has cut down and now they're having their own staff to write. So when I write something, I just put it on Facebook. I'm not a Facebook person. I don't even look to see what were the comments, how my articles were received, but it has been very positive. It's mostly common sense things which I just rattle off when I get the feel that people should know about it. I thought of putting all that into a book, making it more expansive. But then I need time. I need to sit, collect, collate, all those things. So maybe I'll ask one of my friends, to come and help me. There are some, literary minded people who will help. So I want to, because if it helps people, why not?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So will you be like able to name one dish from your Kerala cuisine book?
Kerala cuisine book? Are you a vegetarian or a non-vegetarian?
I am a vegetarian.
You're a vegetarian. Okay. Then we won't mention it. Then this kadala curry is very nice. The kadala curry is very unique. And then one other unique thing they do is this mango curry with fish.
Okay.
I like because my mother is a sworn vegetarian and she doesn't even eat egg. She wouldn't eat egg. So I used to make that for her with paneer.
Okay.
And it's really excellent. Kerala people, most of them, they're especially the Syrian Christians, their non-vegetarian dishes are what are very popular. But then you have the appams, you have their, a lot of other things which you can still have in Kerala.
Okay. Yeah. I'm looking forward to the book now.
Yes, I'll let you know. That's also
absolutely. Yeah. So we are towards
one thing to tell you before we wind up.
Absolutely.
You have been doing good service. I know you have been. I have taken food that you have delivered, then you have delivered groceries to me, you have delivered vegetables and things like that. And if it is going to be sometimes ongoing and you want a membership from people, I think there are little more you have to offer. Because what has happened in the COVID times, we all have our own channels, like vegetables are delivered to the door. Then Big Basket has started functioning. And then
Right.
the thing is, we don't have choice. Like you want celery, you want some special things like zucchini and things like that.
Correct.
Not available. We have to make. But
Correct.
what other services I'm thinking of is like people can't pay their taxes online.
Yeah.
Might be somewhere there you know to go and pay the taxes for them. And sometimes
Absolutely.
small things which you don't get from groceries people. It's like we women still like to look smart in spite of COVID. Some of us still dress up nicely at home.
Absolutely yes. Absolutely yes.
So
It is important to have that.
so we need cosmetics like soaps, we need shampoos, we need creams, and at the time sometimes you don't know where. Then you buy it in Amazon. Amazon takes 10-12 days to deliver these basic.
Correct.
So
Correct.
these sort of
Correct.
small services. It might not be very much, but
Okay.
now, for instance, in our group, one lady wanted, they get their medicines from a government organization, and I believe it's cheap, very much cheaper than if you bought it in a pharmacy. So she
Of
was
course.
calling me and saying, "Can anybody from Udavi do that for me?" I said, "See, none of us are going out, but I've got a boy, like he works for Dunzo, and he can arrange, and I'll ask him to give you all a discount." So for a small fee, he has been delivering medication to all of them. So
Oh wow, that's fantastic.
do that, you will be assured of membership.
Correct.
It is
Correct.
that kind of service which people want. Yeah?
Absolutely.
So
Great.
they start getting, calling out to you whenever they need help. And
Absolutely.
you just think about it.
Absolutely. I will. This has been really nice. This has been really helpful. I will take this and I will add this as well, and I will let you know. So once we do that. Great. Okay, so thanks a lot. So Sabita Ma, this has been really wonderful to know about you and know about your books and know about your cooking and know about so some stories which we might not have heard, but but this has been extremely helpful. Okay, so thanks a lot. We will meet you next Saturday with with another a very special guest. This is going to be so Janaki Sabesh. She's going to come out with a couple of books and some stories as well, which she has to share. So, and we're going to so log off with that.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Savita Ma. And all the best for all your ventures as well.